Senate Majority Leader John Thune is with us now. And Senator, thank you for your time. Good morning to you. On day one, he's going to hit border security. He's going to hit energy, reducing the cost of living, ending DEI programs across the federal government. I'd like you to react to that. And I'd also like you to react to the news of the hour. The latest pardons for the January 6th committee, Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley. What do you think of all that as it went down, Senator?
Well, first off, Bill, I think the pardons, this President Biden has made massive use of that pardon authority, unlike anything we've ever seen before. So I don't suppose it was any big surprise, although I guess, the timing of it perhaps is. But on the broader issue of the president's executive actions,
Senator, let me just mention here for everybody on the screen before we'll let you continue, but these are the first pictures we're seeing from inside the St. John's service. As Alex Hoff just described it, you can see the president there, and I'm a little bit blinded here by the sun. You see J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha, there as they get ready after this brief ceremony this morning over at the St. John's Church, the tradition, as we get ready to talk about all the news to come. And, sir, I'll let you continue on.
Thank you. Well, and I appreciate, I think, no better way to start the day in a new administration than to accentuate how important the role of faith plays in their lives and in all of our lives. So, but to your point, Bill, I think the executive actions, at least the ones that we're familiar with, fit perfectly in with the president's agenda. They're about the border, they're about the economy, they're about inflation, and that's what the American people voted for. That's why we had the huge mandate. The president wanted a decisive mandate this fall, and he's moving forward on implementing it. And we want to do everything we can to be supportive and to be good partners as we move on an agenda that I think gets this country back on track. And we are desperately off track after the last 4 years.
I have a question then about getting back on track. One of the ways you need to do that is by confirming the president's nominees. Call for number 4 here is a list of cabinet nominees votes today. Senator Rubio at 4:30, John Ratcliffe at 4:45, and Kristi Noem, maybe, I think you said, at 5:30 p.m. tonight. How quickly do you think the Senate will be able to move, and does it make a big difference that you have a little bit of cushion with your majority?
Well, it's great for us to have the majority. What will make it challenging and difficult, Dana, is how much the Democrats want to fight on all these noms. And if you look historically, President Obama got his first 12 nominations through in 15 days. It took Trump 43 days the first time around. And so we want to get back to the Obama standard, and we're hoping that the Democrats will cooperate, particularly on these national security nominations. But we're going to grind them out. And hopefully, I think Marco Rubio is a colleague that should go fairly quickly, we hope. But then we start getting into some of the others, and we're just going to grind them.
Steve?
Yeah.
Dana, this is my 7th inauguration. I don't recall a time when we were given pictures inside St. John's Episcopal Church. Bravo to technology for bringing this to us. We are told that Boris Johnson is inside that church. So is Jeff Bezos, as is Mark Zuckerberg. And I think if you look between the crowd, you can see our former colleague Pete Hegseth sitting there as well in that red tie. Sir, you wrote a piece for FoxNews.com. It's called "Congress is Ready to Work with President Trump to Deliver on the Mandate from Americans." You just touched on that. Will there be any rub, at least on the Republican side, this time around?
Bill, I think that Republicans united. We met yesterday at the Blair House with President Trump. Senate Republicans did. And, of course, he went through some of the things we want to get done together. But it really does, he talked about it in his executive actions, the things he's going to do later today. But it's renewing American energy dominance, strengthening the economy, rebuilding the military, and securing the border. And then, of course, we've got a huge tax increase at the end of the year, $4.5 trillion tax increase on the American people if we don't act to extend the current tax policy, the 2017 Trump tax cuts. So it's a full agenda. We have a lot to get done, but it's consistent with what he campaigned on, and it's consistent with what the American people said they wanted to see. It's a decisive mandate and one we intend to work with him to implement.
One thing that doesn't seem consistent is the policy of the United States government when it comes to TikTok. And you had a bipartisan bill that was passed and signed into law. The Supreme Court has heard the case against it. They voted unanimously to say, no, this is the law as passed by Congress. It has to go forward. President Trump says he wants to try to fix it, save it. But there is not unanimity on this issue and the concern about China having this tool in America. What do you think happens?
Well, I mean, I think that this now falls on President Trump's watch, and obviously he has views on this issue, and that'll shape, I'm sure, the discussion going forward. But I believe, and the reason Congress took action, and I think the reason the court upheld what the Congress did, is because we view this through the lens of national security. And China is a threat to the information, the privacy of the American people. They manipulate the algorithms that control what Americans see online. And that's a dangerous place to be because they are a wholly owned subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party. So I don't think that there's a lot of room here. I think it ought to be, if we can figure out a way to get it owned by Americans.
What about, he said, what about 50-50 ownership, American government and Chinese government?
I'm without, I guess I'm going to comment on a specific proposal or solution just yet. I think we want the president obviously to have a chance to take a look at this and perhaps figure out a path forward. But I think in the end, it's going to have to include getting the majority control out of the hands of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes, Senator, I ask about that rub with Republicans because Senator Tom Cotton was quick to really jump on this yesterday afternoon and after the decision was made on TikTok, and we're going to see how that develops. Meanwhile, 35,000 feet, Senator. What do you think of the accomplishment here that we're watching today? 132 years, non-consecutive terms. You think about all the court cases from Washington, D.C. to Palm Beach to New York City, the assassination attempts. What has he accomplished politically in American history now?
I think, Bill, his first presidency was historic in terms of the things that he accomplished on behalf of the American people and the respect that he brought for the United States on the global stage. And then you saw this campaign. Nobody has gone through more to get elected as President of the United States than President Trump has. As you pointed out, I mean, this is it was a historic campaign, historic election, and again, an incredible mandate from the American people, which he intends to deliver on, and we intend to support him and be good partners in getting that agenda done.
So we are looking at the pictures of the St. John's service. We anticipate that could be finishing in about 3 or 4 minutes, and then we would see the family, of course, leave first. And I should point out that Barron Trump is there, and also Melania Trump in a hat for the ages. That is one beautiful outfit that she has on. I did want to ask one thing. This is going to sound technical, but you could explain it in terms that people could understand. There is something that can be done in addition to President Trump with the executive orders. Mm-hmm. There is the Congressional Review Act, mm-hmm. which means what? For what you can do to try to help Donald Trump as he tries to pull back some of the things that Joe Biden put forward as president.
Well, there is a mechanism that was created about 30 years ago called the Congressional Review Act that enables the Congress to vote on what we call a resolution of disapproval. So if it's a regulatory action taken by an administration, and there are certain ones that qualify, and there's a look-back period, mm-hmm. that you have to fit within in order to be eligible for consideration on this. But we are scrubbing everything. He's going to do a lot by executive action, but we also want to do our part. And if we can use a Congressional Review Act to get rid of some of these onerous and burdensome regulations that the Biden administration enacted,
and here
which have a huge impact on the economy.